Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, welcome to the Beacon TVL show, the weekly podcast from Beacon DeFi, your beacon in the world of decentralized finance. I'm your host, your DeFi professor, Professor Chris. We've got a great show lined up for you today as we tackle the news of the week that's relevant to you, our dear users in the world of on-chain investing. Today on this show, we have an all-star panel. We are featuring a panel of people who've been working on projects that are disrupting typical Web2 businesses. And we have projects here today from the world of car insurance, taxes, tokenization, marketing, and metaverse, and more. So let's start off with one of our regular rotating panelists from Talisman, the Great Wallet Project. We have world traveling DJ himself, Robert A. Williams. Welcome back, sir.
Hey there. Hey, good to be back as always.
Good. How's life in DF?
It's good. It's chill as always. Temperate, very temperate weather as always.
Define temperate.
Like it's always 75 degrees.
Hey,
yeah.
On my way.
That. Yeah. We'll see you there tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be in Austin in a couple of weeks for the BitTensor Endgame.
I'm so jealous. I want to go to that. It's between that and AVAC Summit for me, and I'm trying to figure out which one should I go to.
Let's hang out in Austin. I mean, yeah, because Talisman is co-sponsoring, and we're gonna have a big presence there.
All right. Let me go talk to the treasurer. We'll see what we can work out.
Okay, cool.
Also joining us today, we have one of our newest partners in our partner network and on the panel, head of growth at One Llama, rewarding safe drivers. We have Tanyet. Welcome, Tanyet. How are you today?
Good. Excited for this conversation, and thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Welcome. We did do our first ad read with you guys last week. Have had a lot of great interest so far. A lot of people in the chat were like signing up today. Just waiting to see that come through, because I know it's a little bit of a process. But guys, officially, I am, full disclosure, I am now a member within the using the project with my revered minivan. So if I can do it, you can too. Don't forget about that.
We appreciate that.
So of course. I will say today, unfortunately, we had a technical emergency for Andrew, the CEO of Awaken.tax, one of a tax service that we do like. We'll have him on a future show, so hopefully everything works out with you, Andrew. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Also on the panel today from Real Blocks, hopefully I got that correct. Excited to talk more with this guest about tokenization and a more worldly view of how others across the globe are looking at tokenization in all kinds of assets. We have the CEO of Real Blocks and a featured speaker at the United Nations 70th General Assembly. My goodness, Deb Carrizo, bienvenido a TVL show. How are you?
Thank you so much. Gracias, Chris. Well, thank you for having me here. And yes, so I'm here to bring you another point of view, the South point of view in the planet about blockchain and how this is going to impact all our economies.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And last but not certainly least, we have a young man here who I've talked to on several occasions, specifically on metaverse and marketing from .market Co. .market. We have Rob V on the show. Welcome, Rob, sir.
Good morning from Denver, Colorado. Yep. Got some interesting things working on, and hopefully real world use case scenarios for everybody. So that's the
love
goal.
It. Don't mind me. I'm just reposting our web stream here on the Twitters. Before we do get to our focus topic, I'm going to be a little selfish for a quick second. I did want to talk about some news. Of course, the main purpose of our show is to educate our audience and communities about the latest news in crypto, blockchain, and decentralized finance to help you interpret and make the decisions you need in order to succeed. But I have to. It would be wrong of me not to say congratulations with respect to my alma mater, and of course to all my fellow Gators watching and listening here in Gator Nation, as the University of Florida has proved once again why you never question the heart of a Gator by winning the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship and helping the institution of the University of Florida to be the only school to ever win 3 football and basketball championships. Congratulations to everybody in Gainesville on this tremendous accomplishment. I know this Saturday is a celebration. I wish I could be there with you guys, along with my fellow Gators here in Web3, like Pete from our partner Beefy. If there are more of you out there, please say hello in the comments. Go Gator. And if there are any Houston Cougars, Duke Blue Devils, or Auburn Tigers fans out there, of course. And I was talking to Rob before we got on the show. There's so much parity now with the transfer portal anyone can come out on a given day and beat anybody. Florida comes out of the SEC, one of the toughest conferences in any sports on this planet, and tremendous accomplishment for everybody there on the coaching staff, and of course the student athletes for just being part of just the Final Four, but also overcoming adversity and coming back and winning this championship. So don't know if anybody here on the panel is a Gator supporter, but if not, that's not a big deal either. But yeah, I just wanted to take that moment to celebrate, because I am very proud as you know, as them being my alma mater to celebrate big wins like this. All right, so we always start with looking at the markets. Let me just refresh here, because sometimes CoinGecko doesn't always give us the correct thing. We're definitely embroiled in a trade war, right? Tariff-fueled market plunge. Ultimately, crypto isn't looking that bad, all things considering, with the rest of the markets, with continuous down days. The bond market, the basis trade starting to unwind. It's starting to look a little ugly. But regardless of how this plays out, and the reason why we have everybody here on the panel today, the narratives that were leading before this trade war started, before President Trump got elected, they're still going to play out. They're not going away. So talking about tokenization, RWAs, you know, even AI agents, NFTs, GameFi, decentralized science, it's all going to continue to run. So have the conviction to stay in this market. Please don't sell, because people are looking to just buy up whatever you sell anyway. You've got a great chance to buy some of your biggest conviction bets in this zone. Of course, don't throw it all at once. DCA or dollar cost average into this stuff. Don't dump everything in all at once, because simply market could completely go down. And something we teach about at, you know, our group is we talk about having an all-weather portfolio. If you're interested in that, please join us on our completely free group, Beacon, at Beacon Total Value Locked, school.com/Beacon. Let me just get my banner up here. Join the hundreds and thousands who have joined us. We've had this site up for almost a little bit more than a year. Come over, check out our Start Here post, and get this great message from myself and Andrew. And also just check out our pathways. The one thing I definitely want you all to look at is our Introduction to DeFi course. It'll get you where you need to be, specifically if you're just looking to come into decentralized finance. And from there, if you want more, we have our Beacon Accelerator for quick accelerated onboarding into the space. And of course, if you want to be with the best industry insiders, high ticket coaching, all that stuff, join our Beacon Mastermind. All right. Looking at bubbles. This is today's bubbles. If we look at the weekly bubbles, obviously quite red, but today there is renewed enthusiasm for the market. Anybody have any thoughts about what we're seeing here today? Start with you, Robert.
Hot air, always rising.
Are you saying that because Fartcoin is the biggest bubble over here?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Hype looking good too. Look at that.
Yeah, hype's looking well. Hype got down to $10. So if you're big on Hyperliquid, this is a good buy zone for them. Deb, let me come to you first. Looking at the bubbles, are there any specific coins or narratives here that are surprising you or not surprising you in that case?
Cake not surprising me.
Yep, Cake for sure. That is we're seeing a lot of movement on BNB, and Cake being the largest DEX for years is pretty much the granddaddy of them all besides Uniswap. Not shocked there. How about you, Tanya? Any thoughts on where the market is currently? Any thoughts? Any guidance? You are muted.
You mean the market in general, or just this particular
anything
screen?
You want to say? Doesn't matter. Either both is fine.
Yeah, I mean, with what you just brought up with the market, I mean, it plays in a lot with what we're disrupting with One Llama, right? When we're talking about these tariffs, things are going to become super expensive for American families, right? Owning a car now buying a car and owning one just went up exponentially because of the supply chain. Even to service a used car is going to become more expensive as well, depending on where those parts are coming in from. and depending on what kind of vehicle you currently own, especially if it's a foreign one, right? So I think like the conversation we're having today is super exciting and important, and it shows a real life use case. I think a lot of what, you know, the backlash with emerging tech sometimes is that we glorify the tech, but we forget to talk about the meeting the consumers where they actually are. And what I love about blockchain is the fact that it really is weaved in and can be weaved into the fabric of everyday life to start shifting these systems. We're at this intersection right now where the call is, as things are dying, right? These systems are dying. There's an opportunity for us to reshape them, reimagine them, circulate them, right? Take the pain of what it exists today, rise to that challenge, use this emerging tech to actually solve real world problems. And that's what we're doing with One Llama, right? In our case, we're tackling a $450 billion industry, which is the car insurance industry. In our case, we only focus on comprehensive and collision. We're not touching upon the liability aspect of it. But how do we, like, a lot of the times people are paying into these pools, right, with their traditional car insurance company. And even if they're not having accidents, their insurance rates continue to go up. And by the way, they don't really pay out dividends when you're driving safely. So it's like, I feel like now is like such a huge opportunity for us to reshape, reimagine within the chaos.
Excellent. I'm going to have you save the rest of that because I want you to definitely talk about that when we get to the focus part. So, but that was a great teaser for what we'll be talking about in just a little bit. Rob, any thoughts on specifically any bigger bubbles here that are kind of surprising you, or maybe lack of surprising? Like, I'm surprised that T is not built back a little bit more with some of their new stuff they're coming out with.
Not a lot of surprise for me, honestly. I'm taking this opportunity to fill more bags. A lot of my friends lean on me for the same kind of advice. You know, setting marks and putting more in when it hits that mark. You know, looking at the chart here, the bubbles. It's great to see a lot of green, but I know it's been a couple bad days for everybody. Yeah,
numbers are going up.
Yep.
I just wanted to point out two specific things that I think are interesting. For me specifically, this section right here, XAUT, which is Tether's Alloyed Gold and Paxos Gold. We don't talk a lot about how gold-backed coins are doing in this space, but if you're looking for exposure to gold or other precious metals, there are crypto commodity digital asset coins out there, derivatives, of course, that you can lean on if that's something you're looking for. And there are places to get yield on some of these. They're not very good, to be honest, but you know, if you're looking to get exposure, looking to diversify the bag, we have a lot of different coins out here that can really scratch that itch. So thanks everybody for your thoughts on that. I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 little things, then we'll move on to our focus topic. To me, the biggest news of the week, which this one just shocked me, to be quite honest. Not only is the DOJ shuttering their crypto unit, which in itself is interesting news considering how Gary Gensler really went after this industry when he was still the chairman. They're going to back off services like Tornado Cash. Ultimately, they're going to go back to really just prosecuting against those who are actively using digital assets to commit fraud, or even further committing acts of criminal offense, such as terrorism, narcotics, any other crimes that, you know, really terrible people should be locked up for. But they're not going to go back to actively going after people and giving out Wells notices to like Uniswap and Coinbase and whatnot. The biggest part of this news came out from the Deputy Attorney General, where they said that they are ending regulation by prosecution. Those 4 words are very prominent here because this is a far cry from what we saw from the DOJ in the last couple of years. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is all, it's of course it's under presidential order, but it's all just reinforcing President Trump ending Operation Choke Point 2.0, allowing banks, at least here in the United States, obviously this is very US focused, to stop deplatforming crypto companies in your banks. In fact, banks can go now, they're free and clear to participate in decentralized ledger activities. So are we going to see someone like HSBC, not they can do that, whatever, but someone like Wells Fargo, Bank of America becoming Ethereum validator nodes, that's a very big possibility because now they can offer this types of services to their customers. So it's all very interesting to see all of this come together. Just wanted to throw it out there. Does anybody have any specific thoughts on how this is bullish specifically for what we do here in crypto?
Extremely bullish. Yeah, I mean, once institutionals get involved, a large sum of, not even money, but comfortability between users. I think, if Bank of America, Wells Fargo start pushing this, it's going to ease a lot of the, oh yeah, that's a scam. A lot of people, for instance, I was at ETH Denver, and there was another convention in the same area that we decided to stop by just to see. And we're sitting in line and people were wondering what that was. And I was just like, oh, well, this is what it is, and they're like, oh, that stuff. And I'm just like, man, if you only had any clue what the world is changing, and I think that would be very bullish on those kind of users.
Tanya, you work in a more traditional arena within terms of like, business partners and affiliates, regular Web2 businesses. Do you think that something like this is enough for them to change their minds to start considering, obviously not having like a treasury reserve for Bitcoin in every company here in America, but do you think this helps with giving crypto and DeFi downstream a better image?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a signal that they're bringing it into the broader framework, right? And he brought up a very important point, which I was trying to allude to when I spoke earlier. Emerging tech like blockchain crypto has had a reputation issue because it's had this sort of like this cast of characters that are leading the conversations, and a lot of the times it's short-term gains, and the main public, right, whether they may not be playing in it, they don't have a full understanding of it, they're just hearing the one bad actor out of the many beautiful use cases for which all this is being leveraged. So in a trust efficient society, when you can signal something like this, right, it brings more people to the table, one, to understand it a bit more, and then you build that trust at scale when you have these legacy banks and these big sort of logos saying, yeah, we're going to go in this direction and we're going to find a way to honor it, and removing some of those barriers to do that, I think signals that they see this as a very strong piece of the future. So yeah, I agree.
Deb, I know this doesn't really, affect a lot of things that are happening down where you are in South America, but based on decisions like this, we're seeing this, of course, on a global scale. What are your thoughts about something like this with regards to where you are?
No, well, Chris, this is a worldwide tech. So that's our philosophy. We are decentralized. So what's going on in the US is extremely important for us. So big institutions jumping and showing that it's a new technology, that they are gonna embrace it, that the regular financial market is jumping to tokenization, that it's huge. So it is all about trust. And we have these documents and these signatures going on in the world in different countries. It's a win for everybody in the ecosystem.
Completely agree. Your thoughts, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you continue seeing things like this, I mean, not even just the pro crypto administration, which could change, in 3 to 4 years, right? But or in 4 years. But I mean, when you see things like this, it's a clear indicator of where things are going. The stablecoin bill is going to be passed soon. The market structure bill for all crypto assets and tokenization of traditional assets should be ready by the fall, right, or by this year. And so, yeah,
I think August is the date
before the recess, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's a clear trend where things are going. Whether you want to make the argument that this was the plan all along, and they were just flooding to accumulate. I mean, you could make that argument maybe, but either way, this is where we are now, and yeah, the barriers just keep getting broken down every week, pretty much.
Yeah, completely agree. And an interesting change and this is happening on Friday, guys. The SEC is now inviting Coinbase, Uniswap, and various other protocols and TradFi heads to a crypto trading roundtable. This is happening. It's literally entitled "Between a Block and a Hard Place." Man, is that on the nose or what? This is all being, headed by a lady we call Crypto Mom, Hester Pierce, the current SEC commissioner and head of the crypto task force. There's something here that I thought was very interesting. The idea is that they're looking to bring more relative, what was it called? To restart and reshape crypto asset regulation is the ultimate goal of this. And they're bringing in Coinbase, they're bringing in Uniswap, Falcon X, longtime market maker Cumberland DRW, and some others here specifically for Chief Product Officer for the New York Stock Exchange, who has a partnership with Coinbase now, and ultimately some other major people who have been in the space for quite some time, both on TradFi and in DeFi. So, interestingly, to me, this is a bit of a dog and pony show. This is more of just transition type of stuff to, more of the interesting things that are going to happen. I'm hoping that we see more of this soon. Now, I think you hit something interesting, Robert. You mentioned that he's trying to push through as much things within the next 3 years. I think he's trying to push things within the next 18 months because there probably could be a shakeup with regards to the midterm elections. There always is, and it's going to be a battle, right? There's going to be a lot of a battle. So he's really just trying to push as much as he can with the majority and the advantage that he does have, assuming he does not get to explore more unitary power with Article 2. But I just want to see more of this news. I don't want to see more news that Fartcoin is the inflation hedge of DeFi, because that is just insane. What this does tell me is that the cult at Fartcoin is way better than the cult at Dogecoin, way better than a lot of other communities, because if Fartcoin can hold this chart amidst everything else that's out there in the market, what does that tell us? What does that tell us about this market?
What did Elon Musk say? Like the most entertaining outcome is the most likely.
There we go. I like that. I like that a lot. That's actually quite good. I'll go ahead and open up the floor. Anybody has any thoughts on this specifically about? There's just, you got all this nice pat on the back kind of stuff going on. For me, I've been through this enough, through cycles to think that the other shoe is going to drop at some point. Obviously, this is always a, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine type of situation. But I don't know. Are we really here? Are we dreaming? Is this really the situation we're in after like years of like public scrutiny and just like even current president back in 2019 saying Bitcoin was a scam and not real, and now he owns and is trying to build the biggest brand in all of crypto?
I think we're in the disbelief phase because
disbelief phase. Love it.
I mean, we have to be, right? Because I mean, look at all this incredibly bullish news that we've been dreaming of for years, 7, 8, 10 years, and it's all here now, but the market hasn't moved, and so everyone's just kind of confounded, like, what the heck's going on? Like, where's all the movement? And so, I mean, I think it's just a matter of time, right? But it's all here now. It's all, the groundwork is completely being laid right now in front of our eyes.
Agreed. Rob, you specifically work with a lot of markets that have been deplatformed. What are your thoughts about all of this courtship and all of these, hey, you guys can come in now, you're good type of talk?
It was only a matter of time. We've, as a community, how long have we been pushing for this, and it's still here? Nobody can kill what people want, really. It's kind of surreal also just to kind of see what's going on. I'm not sure if that pushed the election one way or the other, but I'm very happy the administration is pro. I think a lot of the people in the industry are, just to kind of move forward with what we've been getting beat up on for so long. So
Deb, I wanted to ask you, specifically with how the attitude towards crypto is specifically in Argentina. We've had multiple people in our mastermind come through and literally just talk to me specifically about, thanking me for introducing to something that can help basic citizens have more buying power with digital assets than they could in their own currency, which was, being, death spiraling towards zero, or they're in a hyperinflationary period. So there's obviously a lot of good with digital assets and fiat currencies and stable coins and stuff like that. So seeing more of this start to set foot, hopefully. Obviously, we've had the EU with MiCA, and we're going to have this Stable Act in the US. Just give me your thoughts on how you think this is all going to play out.
Yeah, and actually, it's like I want to give you a lot of information from Argentina, because now I think it's very useful for the US. This is the first time that a new technology it's adopted in emerging countries first, than in the US or in the powerful countries. And there's a why, and the why is the need. We need it. We didn't have a financial system that was working. We couldn't afford US dollars, like neither physical, neither digital versions of the US dollar, as we now have the power to buy crypto dollar. So there was a huge need of a new system, a financial system where we can rely on, take care of our money. And now it's like, for me, this is the second round. It's like, now that we are bringing real world assets inside the blockchain, we are going to be able to buy them, to trade them without institutions, because we don't trust on that institutions. And what is going on now in the whole world is this crash in this level of trust that we need for global trade. So here we are. We do have this technology that was growing for all these years, and a huge community, decentralized with different points of view, with different kind of power to solve this huge issue. So what I see, and actually this last week's the narrative in the US talking about stable coins, let me tell you that we are the biggest adopters in Latin America, in Argentina, and also we are second region in the world. 60% of our owners, our crypto owners, are stablecoin users, stablecoin owners. So, and this is the same numbers you can find in India, Pakistan, and Africa. And why? It's because we need it. So for me, what's going on also in the US is like, they embraced this power of the stable coin, because it is a US backed asset. So it is a US dollar backed in our blockchain. So they're gonna hold it, and that's what is going on right now. It's like we need like to keep it as a global unit, store of value, and that's what they trying to do with all this movement on the board.
Yeah, one thing I don't have it in the agenda, but Binance being the second largest CX, second to Coinbase, they're now going to have their stablecoin denominations in USDC, which is huge. So that's going to be the big change for them, because I think USDT was by far the biggest. How they reached that agreement, I'm not completely sure, but I'll go ahead and go to you, Tanya, before we move on, about your thoughts on just really policy.
You mean just the policy article?
Your thoughts, of course. Your thoughts, of course.
No, I just think I'm just going to reiterate what everyone has said. It's like we can be cautiously optimistic that they're laying down the ground into the future. They're seeing that the future is here. They wouldn't be. We could say they're placating. I don't think that's the case at this point, right? I think they're seeing the value in what the technology can do. They're putting in some of these. They're listening. This is a feedback loop to listen to. How do we need to structure this so that it can globally scale? This is the scaling sort of scaffolding now that they're saying, yes, we see this as a future part of a bigger ecosystem and bubble, not bubble, like a bigger ecosystem connection. And how do we make it so that we can build more trust with the privacy, but still not lose the speed in delivery and still have sort of those validation points, right? That this is real and not a scam. So those have to be in there to be able to build trust so that you have the people that the masses that haven't fully adopted or understand it to now lean more into it with the confidence that the structure is there for it. So I think it's all positive.
You know, I wish I had my because for anybody who doesn't know, the inspiration for this show comes from this version of the show, rather, with our panel, comes from Around the Horn from ESPN, where everybody gets points for like talking and stuff. And I was like doing this the whole time, like pushing, like, yes, more points, more points. So excellent stuff today from the panel. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to talk about two quick things before we head off to our focus topic, which is talking about disruption. Let me pull up my screen. I need to do that first. Ripple XRP, for all of you XRP fan people in our groups, they have acquired prime broker Hidden Road for $1.25 billion. This is big mainly because having institutional exposure, I guess the ability to easily get XRP outside of going to a CEX, going to be huge for them. Plus, they're going to have the ability to market more to more fintech customers. So that'll be big. And then the last thing, something we've talked about multiple times on this show over the last 18 months, token extensions for Solana, which allows developers to actually build into Solana with multiple different technologies. Some of that happened like back in 2022 with privacy token extensions. Now, confidential transfers are now called confidential balances, thanks to the group at Helios for helping with this. Specifically, it's going to allow zero knowledge proofs to be put into Solana token activities, both natively through Rust, if you know your development, and upcoming with JavaScript libraries later on this year, which will actually make it easier for mobile to on Solana, which is, and we call Solana the people's blockchain, right? Tons of people on Solana, not a lot of DeFi. So this is a call out to all of you who are building on Solana. Start building more DeFi because there's a huge hunger for it on Solana. I mean, the fact that JLP, which is the LP perps from Jupiter, has like $1.25 billion in assets under management for literally 3 perps, should tell you guys that you guys need to keep building. There's a huge appetite for DeFi on Solana, and it needs to get there. And I think this is going to lead to that. So for anybody who doesn't know what a zero knowledge proof is, currently proving or validating, it currently requires validators consensus, right? You come into a block, all the validator nodes see the block, they see the transaction, they look at it, and you just got to get consensus on it. Like, yeah, that looks right. Yeah, that looks like something that will push through. No issues with that. Well, zero knowledge proofs will give us an algorithmic or mathematical way, providing a mathematical proof saying that the transaction you are seeing is what it means. For example, in this cup, I have water. You're going to have to trust me. Here's a mathematical proof showing that that's the case. And that is, it's an exercise in mindful trust. But what it will do is it'll make transactions faster because we don't currently on optimistic rollups like Arbitrum and Optimism, there's a 7-day challenge period. With ZK chains like ZK Sync, others that are based on it like Linea, for example, it's instantaneous. It can pretty much be instant, but they have, I think, a 24-hour period currently. So huge for zero knowledge proofs. I was looking for my book on explaining zero knowledge proofs. Like I'm 5, I have a book. It's an actual children's book from ETH Denver 2023, but I can't seem to find it. But regardless, just wanted to mention those two for anybody in our audience who's curious about other news that we can talk about. Really big to see confidential balances. That means anonymous, more private stuff coming through on Solana, which is what I think Solana really needs currently. So with that said, we'll go ahead and move on to our focus topic. I want to give all of our panelists here a good amount of time to talk about what they are building. We're going to go ahead and start with you, Tanyet, with One Llama, one of our newest partners here at Beacon DeFi. Very thankful to have you guys chose us as your go-to DeFi educational partner. And yeah, here's the website. Tell us a little bit more about what One Llama does.
Thank you for that. I kind of alluded to it earlier. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit to tease this part, but it's so important because of where the market is right now. So One Llama was born from the idea that when you look at comprehensive and collision insurance, and again, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry here in the U.S., the stat is only 6% of people actually ever need to use that insurance per year, right? They get into some form of incident, some form of accident. 94% of people that are safe driving, they never see any money come back. There's no perks for being a safe driver and for maintaining your vehicle. Yet these companies are keeping that reserve, right? And by the way, they can the premiums are going up, are rising at a ridiculous rate. They don't even ask you. It just goes up. American families, the average owns there are 2 cars for every home. That's pretty much the US average. So what we said was, what if we could use emerging tech and merge that in with sort of these ancient community principles, right? And start circulating those reserves in a way that would make the sum of all parts whole. So what does that basically mean? So One Llama we're not insurance. We're what's called a mutuality. And what the mutuality allows us to do is that it's peer-to-peer. Basically, the pool is funded peer-to-peer, right? So we're circulating that money and knowing that only 6% of people in the US actually get into accidents. We actually want to make that less, and I'll explain that in a minute with the ecosystem we're building out with some major partners, which I can't say their names, but are about to come in on that side of things. So with the mutuality, basically what we're able to do is we have different levels of tiers of coverage, right? And again, it's all peer-to-peer funded. It goes into a pool. And if someone has an incident, each one of our members pays a portion into that pool to basically cover said incident. If no one has any incident, what happens is that, and if someone's a safe driver, they get 40% of that initial coverage that they paid into back for their renewal. And it could even be higher than that if no one in the mutuality has had any form of accident within it, right? So now we're circulating back some of the money that they would normally be putting into something and not getting in return. We get it there. We've actually taken it a step further because the average American family actually spends about $1,500 in maintenance throughout the year. So right now on the back end of the ecosystem of the technology, we're creating partnerships with some pretty big automotive like large names. I just don't want to say them now because that's not finalized just yet. It's close to be able to then support our customers in various different ways, right? They can take their car there to do their inspection when they first sign up with us, but it's further than that. They're going to be providing incentives within our One Llama wallet, right? So now someone signing up is not only going to have the opportunity to save 40 to 60%, depending again, if there's overall incidents within the community, they're also going to receive perks that help to maintain said vehicle. And a lot of the times why these incidents happen is because a lot of families, and this came through the World Economic Forum, most global families are just one little incident away from going below the poverty line, right? They don't even have $600 for like a quick accident that may come forward. So what we're saying is that some of those llama dollars actually can be used for people to maintain their vehicle and not run that tire longer than maybe they should because they're waiting for that next paycheck that might be 2 weeks away. Some of the incidences on collision is because of that, is because they can't afford the maintenance at that moment for the brakes or the tire, and they're letting it go to that extreme. We have AI obviously and blockchain to be able to then facilitate those payments, right, from the ecosystem on the back end, from our collision partners, as well as our automotive partners on that side, as well as to facilitate the user experience from the consumer side. What I love about this whole model is I'm a nerd for circular economics, right? How do we take revenue in any capacity and move it within an ecosystem so that every part of it makes sense? So from the consumer side of it, there's a bunch of wins as to why they would want to sign up for One Llama. From our automotive partner end, it allows them to actually get more potential customer base, but also provide a service and value to our customers. And that's not to mention the smaller businesses that are around, say, some of these automotive partners that will be able to, in the not too distant future also drive potential business to them. That to me is a healthy model on how do we reimagine economic systems that are really intentionally looking at it from the perspective of who are we serving and how can we circulate it in a way where those reserves are really being pulled to bring up people. And that's why I love emerging tech so much, because you can create all these different use cases in these perceived boxes of, well, it's always been this way. And it's always been this way because no one's really challenged the insurance industry, at least the auto collision insurance industry. I know there have been some use cases for healthcare, like I think it's health impact share, where they've used a mutuality model to disrupt it there, but they're not using emerging tech in that case. They're just using the mutuality model. But I feel like these real life use cases are going to become more and more because of where the market is now. So in the chaos, there's this opportunity to bridge these gaps and redesign and reimagine so that we go back to basics, which is how do we start serving consumers in a much different way where they feel like they have ownership, right? In this case, they have ownership in a sense with what they do with one llama, right? Because if you're part of those first 500 members, there's also, they get voting rights and things on how to shape that reserve moving forward. And with insurance, because there tends to be a lot of fraud as well, this also limits fraud with like false claims and things like that, because they're part of it, right? They're building and shaping how we continue to evolve this moving forward.
I did want to sorry to cover your face there, Deb. I did want to say, if you're interested in what you're hearing, please join through our reference code join.onellama.com/beacondefi. For our podcast listeners, thank you for all those who are listening. It's join, JOIN, one llama, ONELLAMA.com/beacondefi, BEACONDEFI. Become one of the first 500 members. And thanks to them for being a part of our Partner Alliance Network. I wanted to ask you, and anybody else who has a question, feel free to ask, but how is the reaction been from any competitors in your space?
It's still, well, we're just emerging now. Now's our like big launch time, even though we've been quiet in the background for the past year to get to this point. I think you're going to start hearing more about it once these bigger brands come on board, because it's to the point that we were talking about earlier, right? When you can get the big banks, anytime you can get a legacy brand to say yes to what you're doing, that already brings sort of that trust at scale, right? And they're coming because they see the value on all sides of it, right? They see what it can do for them on the short run. It also brings down their customer acquisition in a much different way. For early stage startup like us, it actually helps us to build brand and also to build that trust at a different scale. So I think towards the end of this year, when we're hitting what we believe those numbers will be, I think you'll start seeing more and more. They'll start to pay attention. They haven't had to, like they've been, for lack of a better analogy, they've been sitting very comfortable for quite some time. So this is going to be sort of a wake-up call to them to say, whoa, wait a minute. This wasn't just some little hokey community grassroots, mutuality thing. Like when the big brands are paying attention, it's for a reason. That doesn't happen by accident.
Absolutely. I want to put that link in the chat for anybody who's watching us live. Anyone have any questions here on the panel for Tanya about how they're looking to definitely disrupt? I know a little bit more about what they're doing behind the scenes, and I'm really excited. Love to see people using emerging tech to disrupt, and this is definitely a really long-standing dinosaur that's out there that definitely could use some improvements.
Yeah, just chiming in. Not really a question, but I think that's an awesome idea. I could see that working very well for not just you guys as a company, but for the community as well.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what really actually lights me up. And that's why I feel like emerging tech and this time that we're in is like what I call the quiet revolution. This is a time of reclamation. When things are dying, this is when we can come in and really, truly, if we're looking at it from the perspective of who we're serving, like reimagine things at scale right now. So even though it's chaotic, I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do to disrupt this space, but also to inspire other people because once you have a sort of a playbook, that can be implemented in other industries as well.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to ask was, you mentioned that there's you can be a part of the first 500 members. That means you guys also are having a bit of a governance token and things like that. So, um, yeah, I know you probably can't talk tokenomics, but um, kind of talk about your thoughts about having a governance token where users and people who are in, whether it be their affiliates or users, can be a part of the future of One Llama.
Basically, for our first 500 members, they will be getting tokens as part of that, and some of the ideas in governance is that they'll also be able to vote on some of the decisions that will be made on that reserve, right? Because it's our goal to have people if we would like to be aggressive enough to drop that 6%. We actually think that is possible, and we haven't had any incidents thus far. Let me knock on some wood as I say that, because when you feel like you're shaping something and you're part of something more than just some big corporation, there's going to be more mindfulness on how you're actually driving, right? Because you're part of it. So they would be getting to shape what we can do with that reserve moving forward, and there will be other things that they'll be able to do as part of that first 500. So there's an ownership aspect to it. And I feel like a lot of these models that I've seen, even with reclaiming like digital influence, is about circulating economy, giving people ownership in something, right? They haven't had that opportunity before, yet they're living it on a day-to-day basis. I feel like the more we can empower the everyday human and invite them into this emerging space, the more powerful it will be and the more adoption we'll have.
Love it. Yeah. And again, a little bit of a shameless plug. If you want to join me, I am a member. I'm going to be getting that airdrop. I'm going to be one of those people just like me. Wasn't too difficult, honestly, getting everything out. I just asked my, just for transparency, I'm with State Farm. I just asked them what were their requirements for, being able to just go back on, on liability. They got through that, and then signed up with One Llama. Very simple, very easy, and recommend everybody do it as well. Rob V, sir, tell me a little bit more about Dot Market Co. and your story.
Yep. So good morning. I'm an entrepreneur for the last about 12 years ish. Just never conformed to the box. This is one of our newer projects. Well, I say newer. We've been building for about 3 years. A lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, figuring it out. But what this company does here is we build 3D immersive experiences for corporations to interact with their customer base through gamification and VR. We have utilities as far as crypto subscriptions to NFT purchases. And then kind of what we also did is we built brands that kind of showcase what can be done. So they're fully operational marketplaces, practically catered to a specific community. We do have some more mainstream and some more, degen, community-based aspects to it. But as far as that goes, we're trying to just bridge the gap between the next generation and the technologies that's arising with us. So
Awesome. What would you say is, for anybody who's looking to provide like a unique 3D space, what's the expectation of the functionality they'll get within one of these rooms? Like if I wanted to create an actual 3D university for Beacon.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the sky. If it can be built on Unity, it can be done. And even beyond that, we've built things that aren't out yet, as far as aspects of community engagement and chat and video, kind of just like this. Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, completely. I wanted to ask, specifically about, having a 3D metaverse type space. obviously this is fairly disruptive because, and frankly, 4 years ago, this would have been the absolute go-to, right? Because of what was going on in the world. But even, with the way that new norms have kind of progressed since the pandemic, what would you say is like the key selling point for people who just want to have something like this? Is it the fact that, because of inflation and whatnot, it's getting more and more expensive for businesses to have brick and mortar experiences, things like that?
That's part of an aspect. A lot of this has pushed because, my kids, they literally walk around with all day, every day, practically whenever they're not doing productive things. So this kind of started out as a smaller project, and it kind of just kept evolving. The beginning, so I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about, the Colorado cannabis community. I don't know if
We talked about it last time.
that's okay. I just don't know if it was appropriate for here. Allowing people to make purchases online through gamification and VR, as far as like, that's how it started. So one of my main businesses is in that space here in Colorado, and I'm just trying to open ways for brands to make sales, and allowing them to build a virtual store where customers can go online and actually purchase items and either pick it up or deliver through a delivery partner. That's kind of how it all started. And then it went to clothing and music and adult aspects, car parts. Part of our community it's called the garage. We're trying to get car part manufacturers, either big or small, to practically brand or, for logistics and authenticity, attach their car parts to NFTs practically. That leads into another thing that we want to do as far as like building an app where you build your actual car online with the car parts that you build in your physical vehicle, and you can race people around the world globally on a game.
That's really cool. I like
yeah,
that idea.
Yeah. So that's part of it. Authenticity is very big when it comes to blockchain and logistics. And that's kind of what we're trying to, luxury brands, cologne. I mean, I've been to markets where you buy an actual bottle of Aqua di Gio in the bottle, and you take it home, and you can definitely tell it's not correct,
Yeah.
And, blockchain going to end that. It's, eventually every single item in the world will eventually be, tracked through
Tokenized.
blockchain.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've seen, one thing specifically with ZK, with Zero Knowledge, is that there's an emerging market for things like Rolex watches, wine,
100%.
whiskey, things like this.
Absolutely.
Things that actually have supreme value. You want to make sure that you get the authentic product you're getting. Zero Knowledge proofs are a big part of that technology, especially with some of the emerging ones that are coming. So yeah, having the ability to have a market where businesses can have business and make transactions, and that is huge. So awesome.
And it's a normal marketplace too. You don't have to use the gamification or 3D environments for it. That's just kind of something that we started with and so.
All right. Well, Rob, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. Anybody have any questions for Rob before we move on to Deb? All right, Deb, the floor is yours. So let's start with you introducing, and then we'll get to your site here.
Okay, so thank you so much again to you and the whole audience. I'm Deborah Carrizo from Argentina, software engineer, 30 years in the tech industry, building software for more than 15 countries, can I say. And during the pandemic, I was stuck in my country, in my hometown city, and I started to create and dream with finding solutions for the crisis and the different big challenges that we have in not only my country, my communities, because I'm a member of a lot of communities, just as all of us. But the communities in Latin America, we have kind of zero privilege in the global system. So I was started with that. That was the thing that one day we were creating a design for a lithium tokenization. Lithium, it is a very important resource in the world. We have the 60% of the lithium of the country in Latin America. So I started with that, and then one day we created Real Blocks. There's our platform to bring Latin American value inside the blockchain. And the way it is this: we have rich regions. I mean, it's like we could have rich countries, but our economies remain poor, and our population remain poor. And so we saw this bridge between these two needs. And we have the resources, but we don't have the systems for international investors to trust and invest in the projects that we have. And also we have very high barriers to entry for the local investors. So with this, like, our resources are trapped inside our borders, inside our system. So we designed Real Blocks to do that, to bring like very high valuable objects, assets inside the blockchain, create an economic design for these different kind of assets that we are going to be bringing, and then expose them, introduce these digital assets into the biggest global market that we have. It's like our blockchain and our crypto community worldwide. So it is, we've been working very quiet for more than 2 years, 2 years and a half maybe. And we are finally live. This is the third month that we are live. We have contracts for $5 million tokenization in real estate in Argentina, real estate in Paraguay, and clean energy in Chile. So we are going to be mainly focusing on energy, clean energy, the mining industry, and real estate. But what is going on right now is like every day I'm surprised of a lot of business owners looking to us, trying to find this new liquidity channel, because that's what we need and we don't have, no? So it's the fight to get liquidity with these disruptive models, and also bridging these resources with global communities of investors, retail investors worldwide that could be interested in, as you said before, also in gold. I mean, it's like mining. It is very interesting for us. We have in Argentina also oil and gas. We do have Argentinian made. So a lot of products that have a very high value and are very interested for international investors, and they couldn't before, right? So what was not easy to access, what we can produce in Latin America. So we have this platform. This is our marketplace, but we also have the option to have like a white label if the brand that is the asset owner is a huge brand, so they can use our technology in the back and have the front with the name of the brand. So that's important also. And well, we are running now to bring these minerals inside the blockchain. In this huge crisis that we have now globally, there is a part of any kind of portfolio that have to be backed by this kind of assets, right? It's like real value, stable value that is not a fiat, stable back. It's backed by an asset that can be stable. Of course, every one of these assets have a different indicators, right? But real estate could be very stable in some areas of the planet. So it's also, you can choose and you can see, okay, for real estate development, Argentina now it's a good place. Yes, it is. Also Paraguay, and that's why we are there. Miami, as always. So you can distribute this your investment in stable assets without having the need or the obligation to think that it's stable when it is fiat or gold, right? I do love the crypto version of gold. I do love that asset. I think this is very, very powerful. But this is the new player. It's like you can have real estate, you can have farming, you can have minerals in different countries. So I love our solution. We are pivoting in the business models that we offer to the asset owners and see how's the traction for them. And I think that the crisis is helping us to grow in attraction, because it's like they understand and they see these big players talking about tokenization. And it's like any short video of Larry Fink talking about we are going to tokenize our assets and he's the biggest asset owner in the world. It's like, okay, so why don't do that? If you have your assets, you need liquidity. And it's only one new channel of liquidity for your products.
I was curious about the energy. The energy one sounds very interesting. So if you have a second to kind of explain how tokenization and energy works, I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, in Chile, there's a new law that enforces the companies to have a clean distribution of the products in the last mile. So that's why they are building stations of electronic charge for vehicles. So it's gonna be, we're working with an owner that is gonna be building like 6 stations. So they are now at the 80% of the first one, and we are gonna be partners. When I say we, it's like the token holders, our community that is gonna be investing there. We are gonna be tokenizing each station. It's a Siemens super new technology and a very fast charger for cars. So we are going to be tokenizing each of them. There are like 20 in the first station. So we're going to be going back one by one. Each of them is $100,000. And then it's like as owners of that terminal, we're going to have the revenue that is generated there. So token holders are the owners of the terminal, and they are going to be receiving the dividends, the revenue that we generate monthly in the station.
So in a way, this is a lot like just fractionized. We call it here in America an REIT. So a lot of real estate and just functioning in terms of owning parts of large businesses where you receive dividends and profit sharing as part of that. Okay.
Right. The thing that it's very important for you to know also is like for Latin American companies, the possibility to be inside a global market, to go public, it is pretty small. So that's why a solution like this one for us, it is a game changer. We are going to be opening these companies for investment, for retail investors. None of both sides have access to the global regular market that in the US could be something like business as usual, but it is not for us.
Quick question. So is there any requirements for investors? Do they have to be Regulation S or Regulation D? Like they have to be accredited investors with specific income or net worth minimums?
They don't. Depending on the
okay.
asset, depending on the asset, it's like we have 2 different regulations going on, and that's why RWAs are compliance. We are compliance first. So if the asset is in Argentina, it's like we are complying with the context of the asset in Argentina, and if the asset is in Chile, we are complying with the asset there. So that is important. And then as we are approaching retail investors, like depending on the amount of investment that you have, we are gonna ask you to reinforce the origin of the sources. But we also have like KYC AML process that is global. We are using SAMSAP, that is an international platform to do that. So we are internationally compliant.
Oh, that's great. No, I'm glad you answered those questions. I know that's a couple of questions I know people in our community would have specifically is, do you have to meet certain investor minimums to be able to even participate? But yeah, I mean, it's great to be able to see. Congrats, of course, that the company is now off the ground and running, and you have people who are interested in purchasing these, from what I can tell already.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a long road, but we are here.
Yeah, what would you say is that? So I'll end my line of questioning, and anybody else that wants to ask a question they can. What would you say is the biggest hurdle for finding products like these and tokenizing them?
Well, as I said, we are taking a lot of care of the place of the asset. Where is the asset? And we do have a list of countries in Latin America that are the ones that we want to start to work with, and starting with Argentina, because right now we are in a good position and aligned. So and in our list we have Chile, of course, El Salvador, Costa Rica. We have crypto friendly environment to do that. So that's one of the things that we take a lot of care. And in the other hand, it's like everything that's going on in the ecosystem every day. It's a way for us. We always have collateral impact of what's going on in the industry. Actually, there was a huge thing going on in Argentina weeks ago. They had a bad impact on us, but for the Latin America small investor, is like we are all the time bringing education. So that's why it's so valuable what you do and what every channel in the ecosystem is doing, because we need to educate the people. We need to educate the investors. This is not the full crypto. I mean, maybe this is the less crypto side of the crypto ecosystem. So we are all the time trying to educate people and show them why it's just a digital representation of a value, that the asset is affected for the industry where the asset lives. That could be real estate, and also affected for the country where the asset lives. So it's a big combination of variables in the game.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the big lesson here is that, if you had no idea that you could do all of these things previous to the show, you can set up your own 3D marketplace if you want to have a business that's online. If you want to, own fractional real estate anywhere across the world, diversify your portfolio, or even something as simple as, having car insurance that gives back to you for driving safe in real money. I mean, these are three huge disruptions that are going on right now. So, any questions for Deb from the panel here before we wrap up?
That's awesome. I know the emphasis is on kind of helping your community at home, but something that just comes to my mind as a simple question is, anybody globally can invest in that, right? And it's not just held to your geographical area.
We are growing because it's not like worldwide by default. Technically it is, but in a compliance way of the business, it is not. So I have to admit that we keep some countries out of the game. US was there until now, because it's like, if we have an issue, because we are talking as an assets in Latin America with the SEC, it's something that sure we don't want to have and neither in the first year of operation. So we have some countries out of the list, but we are going to be focusing now this second quarter of the year to sell in Latin America. I do have 2 or 3 countries that are going to be out in the list. And then we can move to Europe, because we are super related with Spain as Argentinians, and also because the Spanish companies are arriving here aggressively. And hopefully very soon we're going to be able to sell to US citizens also.
Love it. Guys, we're a little bit over time, but I just want to thank everybody for being here. Of course, wanted to also just say thank you to Andrew from Awaken.tax. We'll have him on a future show. I'm going to go ahead and put his link here for our referral link, because we do have a nice little affiliate partnership with them. If you are looking to get your taxes done in the U.S. And you want the best help on creating the right report, so you report and pay your fair share of taxes, you can do so with Awaken.tax. And thanks to him, thanks to Deb, of course, thanks to Tanyette, thanks to Rob, and Robert, of course, for being our panelist here. Robert, do you have any thoughts? I'll have the last word with you.
Oh yeah, no, I'm really impressed by all the presentations here today. I'm gonna check out each one of them. Yeah, great stuff, guys. And yeah, I think, are we still on for tomorrow for that dedicated talisman call?
Yeah, but that's not going to be like broadcasted.
Oh, that's just me and you. Okay.
That's just us planning.
Okay. Yeah, well, soon, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Again, just wanted to say thanks to all of our guests today. We have Deb Carrizo from Real Blocks, Rob Vito from Dot Market Co., and Tanyette, head of user growth at One Llama. Please check out all of these businesses. We'll of course have them in our video descriptions. And again, if you're listening to us on the podcast level, please, we'll put those in the descriptions as well. We do this call every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We've been doing the form of this call since December 2021, all for the name of educating our users on how to interpret the news and just being introduced to really great projects here in this community. Again, if you are looking to, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. Please follow us on Twitter, and in the event that you want to join our free group, join everybody who's coming around to school.com/beacon. Again, school.com/beacon. I know Robert's a member, Rob's a member. We're gonna get Tanyette and Deb in there as well. And yeah, we'll see you next week for another great panel. Stay safe out there. Don't go crazy. Be sensible. And we'll see you next week. As we say on this show all the time, panel, stay here for a second. But as we always say, beacons up, banks down. See you guys next week. Take care, guys. 07.